Greetings, everyone. So, this is this month. Well, again, I do this every now and then. Team address to my Team Moon community, and of course, the other communities who tend to watch my videos. As you can see, I'm in a streaming server. Streaming icons on. There's no music. I managed to turn the music off using a little trick. Music will come back on as soon as I zone to anywhere. So, yeah, Square Enix should have absolutely no reason to copyright this video. So, the team's been going along pretty well. We've gotten a few more people. Obviously, wants to start making videos again, which is going to be soon. I still need some time to myself. Hopefully we'll get more and more people in. I've noticed quite a few new players invited into the team by my officers. Seems some have been playing and others gave it a try and hasn't come back yet. Maybe they will when the expansion comes, which is in a couple of months. As usual, I can't pre-order a physical version yet. So PlayAsia or some site that will allow me to import a physical will do it. I'd rather not have to get a digital copy. I prefer physical. My town's coming along. I've been away for a while. All that I will explain later in this video. What happened, why I was hospitalized, what caused it, and what I'm doing going forward. Right now, my town, I'm still working on it. It still needs a tremendous amount of furnishing. The most difficult one's probably going to be the Weddy Aquarium house. So I got to figure that out. Cafe's about half done, but I still got to figure out what to do for the bottom floor. As for the main house, it still needs lots of furnishing. Team's coming along well. Got to plan more events soon, and I will once I get out of this funk I'm in. Again, I only came on to create this video, but again, I do plan to make more Dragon Quest X videos going forward. They're not going to be story videos, of course, because there's no story to do. So I'll be pursuing side stories and side stuff. The game's got many, many, many different side quests, and there are some that leads into entire side story arcs. It's all very entertaining. Since I've been out of action, I haven't been working on my goddess tree, though I'm nearly done with it. I might finish it off when the dragon comes back around again. I don't know. So all I really got to do is maybe 3 or 4 more weeks of just doing the one-time 20 seed bonus, and I'll be done. For now. Until they increase it again. Which they will. Yeah, they can't get out of it. They kind of dug themselves in a hole with that one. If they were to stop putting in permanent stat upgrades, people will stop running it, and that's going to be pretty bad for any new players who still needs to do it. So they got to put in some sort of incentive to keep people running that content. And what better than to just keep raising the maximum? Of course, the more they raise it, the longer it's going to take for people to actually finish it. Man, I got to make some gold. I can make gold quickly. I just have to get around to it. Let's see. Yeah, as you can see, I'm nearly done. Just charm and weight left, which I think I got one of them actually done. I have to go pick it up with the goddess tree. Fishing, on the other hand, I still got 3 more new levels. They just recently increased fishing levels to 55. Why did they do it all of a sudden? Who knows? I think they've added some more new fish to certain areas. That's going to level on its own. Now it's been a lot easier for me to catch the fish at my favorite fishing spot. Thus, it's quicker and easier to make gold out of it now. Once I get the last 3 levels, it'll be even easier. I may not even have to use level 2 rod and lure anymore. Once I get to the 55, I can just use a cheaper 1-star rod and lure, and I'd still have an easy time. Otherwise, though, I've still got lots of quests to do. Got all these I picked up. I gotta get them done. And then, of course, there's all these available, and there's probably more to them. I know it may not look like much, but quite a few of these leads into others. I plan to get them all done. I really want to get my fame level to 100 plus. Okay. But that's about it. I'll keep making videos very soon. I just need some time. Thankfully, my paladins have been taking care of things for me in my absence. I don't expect them to create the standard events that I do, but at least one of them has been doing it while my other paladins have been taking breaks. They're waiting for the expansion, after all. Now, as for what transpired on me, as many of you probably know, I have been playing Final Fantasy XI on the Horizon private server for the past 9 months. And I've been very dedicated to it. Reason being is because back then, when 11 was brand new, I was a novice in the MMORPG genre. I only had EverQuest and Azur's Call, I think, as any sort of experience. But I was young, I was inexperienced, and I wasn't really the most socially adept. How about that? So, the thing about Final Fantasy XI is, whenever somebody asks me what I think the worst Final Fantasy is, some would say 2, others would say 10, quite a lot would say 13. Me, though, I would say it's 11 itself. And they would question why. Usually those that are called neckbeards, sweats, whenever they hear that, they would immediately respond with some, just to try to incite some antagonization, like, oh, is it because it's too hard? Is it because it's too old? You just can't get patience? No, not at all. I'm probably more patient than they ever would be. Have to be for everything I do, especially the job that I work. Patience is absolute key. No. What makes Final Fantasy XI the worst Final Fantasy of all the main line entries is honestly the community. You see, Final Fantasy XI was ruined for me and ruined for quite a few people I knew because of the community. The majority of the community who played Final Fantasy XI back then and even now were not Final Fantasy fans. Not in the slightest. They were MMORPG genre fans. A lot of them coming from EverQuest back then, who wanted a different take on things, wanted something different. And the majority of those players, okay, tend to be very overcompetitive or have social issues. Generally being, many of them, for the most part, didn't work a job, was on either some sort of inheritance, trust fund, welfare, or could be part-time college students that got obsessed over a video game. And the mindset of these players tends to go, well, all normal human decency just goes out the door when it comes to the game, simply because they, quite honestly, can't be punished like they would in the real world if they committed, certain acts. So, because of players like this, the game was pretty much ruined for many. Now, coming to modern day, today, there are still quite a lot of these types of players in the private server scene for Final Fantasy XI, and it's because of these people who would do anything possible to screw over everybody else for their own benefit. It made the private server scene for Final Fantasy XI extremely toxic, volatile, and full of drama. So, where does this leave for Horizon? Well, thing is, I never did a private server for Final Fantasy XI before because I would hear all these horror stories. And thus, there was a reason why the private servers were always very low population. Horizon, the reason why it has its massive population is because it's as close to error as possible, but it also has some benefits to take away quite a lot of the tediousness, okay, that people just can't handle anymore. At least the majority of people can't handle anymore. So, it retains a balance, a really good balance, to what the original Classic 11 had, and a lot of what we now have in the retail version of 11. And the Horizon staff, which is comprised of many individuals, saw to this. So, they did an extremely good job on it. And that's what attracted a lot of players. Unfortunately, many of these server hosts, okay, has very bad history, which I looked into when I noticed the Horizon server. The thing is, I would not have knew about the Final Fantasy XI Horizon server if it wasn't for one particular YouTuber that I'm subscribed to, Nathan Napalm, who usually talks about the vaporware game Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. If it wasn't for him, I would not have known about Horizon Final Fantasy XI at all. I saw it about that video that came out about 3 months after the server was released. At that time, I was still finishing up on EverQuest and everything that I didn't get to do in EverQuest back then that I regretted because of my inexperience. I was just now at the near end of the Plane of Time Quorum raid, and my guild was just about to clear through the final few bosses to be able to do Quorum. So while that was going on, I was doing a few things here or there. I would get on the Final Fantasy XI Horizon server for maybe an hour or two, try it out, level something, play a little bit while I did my EverQuest stuff. And of course my DQX stuff. I wanted to give it a try. The thing is, while I was doing that, I was looking into the pasts of these individuals. Eric, Apuk, Violet, Faye, Kipling. These particular individuals. And I saw a lot of extremely negative history involving these people. These individuals who host the Horizon server. And a lot of the atrocious things that they have done, particularly the server host Eric, who completely owns the server. He's the leader of it all. And the individual called Kipling, and what he has done in the past. Despite these warning signs, I decided to give it a try after I was done with EQ. I got done with EverQuest finally a month later. We defeated Quorum. That was it. My regrets for EverQuest have been abated. I no longer have regrets for EverQuest. I was free of it. So now I was free to pursue doing the same thing for Final Fantasy XI, albeit 11 would take far more time than EverQuest would have. Final Fantasy XI, depending on how things went with the server and the content it was getting, that we were trying to put in, it would have taken at least 4 years. Because I would have to go through all of Treasures. I would have to go through all of Wings. I would have to attain certain pieces of equipment and that I never was able to get before because I could not find an LS that would believe in my paladin or my ability way back then. Pretty much, I was not able to find an LS that had a fair looting system. Most of the LSs, at least the successful ones, way back then, did Loot Council. And because they did Loot Council, they would often give nearly all the equipment to their inner circle and barely give anything to the people that, that was out of that circle, even if they attended every single day. And I kept being in LSs like that back then, and again, due to my inexperience, I was just never given anything, and I was constantly stuck playing as White Mage, Red Mage, or Bard, and never had a chance with my Paladin. So, I went in, despite my gut feeling was warning me that this is a terrible mistake. Okay, the people running this, alright, bad things are going to happen. And over time, I've saw those bad things happen. Kipling, for example, was sexually harassing female players. And when he got called out on it and punished by the GM team for it, even though they're his friends, he then proceeded to doxing many of the players that were falsely and wrongfully banned from the server because they were all pretty much joining the massive group of people who have problems against Kipling and his actions. It seems like Kipling has wronged many more people in the past than I thought. To be quite honest, with all the doxing that he did, they should have sued him or put him through court. Honestly, he's lucky he was able to get out of that mostly unscathed, because what he did would have landed him in jail. Another GM, Faye, who apparently ruined another Final Fantasy XI private server back then, was abusing her position again. giving out secrets and basically figuring out spawn times for a lot of things to give her Link Shell an edge. She even knew, and we've seen this, many people have attested to it, she knew exactly where an H&M was going to spawn 10 seconds before it would spawn, giving her and her LS a higher chance to basically get the claim on it through the claim shield. This is particularly nasty for Adamantoise and Behemoth. Fafnir, since it's such a small arena, it doesn't really matter. But for the claim shield to work, you got to be within aggro range of the mob. The more people you have, the higher the chance that you will get it over others. The claim. And Faye was taking advantage of this. So, again, this GM and host team is comprised practically all of individuals who has done terrible things in the past. And it's these kind of individuals that keeps ruining the Final Fantasy XI private server scene. Now, what has this all got to do with me? Well, I joined an LS about 3 months prior called Paradox, who believed in my paladin, gave me a chance, saw I was an exceptional paladin, and allowed me to use DKP to go for paladin pieces while I mainly played Bard for the time being as I was working towards Aegis, a relic shield, which I've spent probably about 4 months at the time so far, grinding Gil every single day via fishing or through crafting ninja tools that I would then either sell in the auction house or just vendor out straight, called Gil printing. And it's basically all I did for the last 4 months. When I was fishing, I would go into a trance, basically something I've picked up and learned to do many, many years ago during my time with very grindy MMOs, Korean MMOs. I would basically put my mind in sort of a blank state, allowing me to do repetitive tasks for hours and hours on end without driving myself insane. Be that as it may, I do have to drink some alcohol just to maintain it, but it allowed me to be able to fish for hours and hours on end without stopping. The only things that would break me out of my trance was if I saw somebody suddenly come up to me that wasn't normal, like another player or a GM, in which case, if it's a player, I would just zoom in my camera so I wouldn't see them, unless, of course, it's a player that I know and I'm used to seeing them. Then I just put myself back into the trance again, which takes about 15 to 20 minutes. If it's a GM, obviously I'll break out of my trance just to wave or say hello. It's kind of hard to stay in trance when you got a big shiny red GM come up because it's out of the ordinary. It's just something you just do not see, so it will surprise me no matter how many times I've seen it. I could also break out of trance if a monster happens to attack me, which is rare. Sometimes I would rarely fish up a monster. Can't be helped. That's why I apply sneak on myself every time it's down. And I did this for several months. 4 months of it, I was doing it towards Relic. Sadly, one day, and lately, it's been like 2 weeks lately, some botters, actual botters, have been coming into the fishing hole I'm in, and they would blatantly keep bot fishing and only bot fish Bastor Breams, which is my main fishing target. They would go after no junk. They would not change bait when the Breams are run out, like I would. They made it extremely clear that they are using bots, but I ignored it. Unfortunately, these jackasses, for whatever reason, reported me. Despite they were the ones botting, and they've shown every evidence of it. By not switching bait, by only fishing as soon as Breams are back up. If they catch a monster, they would keep trying to fish, or they would... Sometimes I even saw one realize he has a monster on him. He tried putting it to sleep to camp out. All the while, he kept taking his fishing rod out. And then when he managed to sit down to try to camp out, the monster broke sleep, hit him, knocked him out of it, and then he went back to fishing again. He made it extremely clear that he was obviously using a bot program. Again, I never reported anyone. I'm just not that kind of person. I do not report people. Ever. I just ignore them, or blacklist them, or lecture them, and then I move on. Be that as it may, at one point the GMs kept checking me all day. They would spin me around. They would come up to say hi. Okay, they never did this before. I didn't know what was going on. They kept breaking my trance. Eventually, I went back into a good trance again, and pulled my camera up close so as to ignore everything around me. And then at some point, while I was just fishing and putting sneak up and focusing on my fishing, apparently the GMs came up, did nothing. They actually weren't even in my field of view. They were, for all I know, invisible. They didn't spin me around. They didn't say anything in say. They didn't say anything in tells. They did absolutely nothing. And I ended up in the Morty and Gal, the GM jail. And as soon as that happened, I was broken out of trance and asked what the hell's going on. They basically stated I was using automation, when clearly I was not. They're just making stuff up. And then I realized this is the same exact shit that they did to quite a lot of fishermen or even crafters who are just running a macro. Nothing wrong with running a macro for crafting. You can make a macros in with the game tools. There's absolutely nothing wrong with using a macro to hit for cents every 5 or 6 cents. However many the crafting macros allow you to do, because it's an in-game function. But I've seen them ban many innocent players using this same exact method, making up bullshit. It seems likely one of the bot fishers happens to be friends with one of the hosts. So Apuk, who has a lot of infamy, and many players hate him from things he's done in the past. And Violet, someone I also heard has some hatred against, but is much newer to the scene, pretty much permabanned my 9 months of work for absolutely no reason other than that some bot fisher was a friend of theirs and wanted me out of the cave. So, because of that, 9 months are gone. 9 months of hard work. Everything I was trying to do to clear my regrets on Final Fantasy XI, all that hard work, gone. I got torn away from my LS, Paradox, which I genuinely loved because they were kind and nurturing towards me, and Sash is a great guy. Okay, very calm, very patient leader. Much respect for him. But I got torn away from all my friends. I'll never be able to talk to them or hear from them again. and my journey was just cut short. And when this happened, it put me in a state of horrible, life-threatening depression, just as I caught a stomach virus that's been going around in my state for the past week. I was actually on day 2 of that stomach virus. Normally, I would get over the virus or flu within 3 to 4 days, but because of the depression I was put in, because of the actions of Apuk and Violet, and I was in the hospital about 8 days later because I could not eat, I could not drink, I could not recover. I was in massive pain because of the virus. Anything I tried to eat or drink, I would throw right back out. I lost over 10 pounds of weight just from that, and another 7 pounds while I was hospitalized. I was found basically collapsed on the floor by my neighbor, who was checking in to see if I was okay because he knew I was sick. They called an ambulance and got me to the hospital. And I was on IV drips for the next few days. Today I only just got out. The music came back up because of the change. So, what's this mean going forward? Well, I'm still extremely out of it. I don't really know what to do anymore. I don't really have anything to work towards except to play DQX and do my usual workouts every day. I'm actually working out more now. But at some point I was approached by a member of a group who wants to see Horizon XI be shut down by Square Enix. They apparently found out about me and offered to let me join their group to help work with them to find any evidence to bring towards Square Enix that what the Horizon Group is doing is illegitimate and it's actually harming Square Enix Incorporated. And so far, they have found quite a lot of evidence and proof. I will not, however, help them fabricate any false evidence, although it seems quite a few of the group has decided to do that. They must really hate the people who run Horizon XI to be able to go that far. So I will be working with this group to dismantle Horizon XI, or at least attempt to. Because, again, a server ran by people like that who shows absolutely no remorse when they would permanently ban players who put in a tremendous amount of time and work. They would just permanently ban them. Not suspend them, just straight out ban them. And they feel no empathy towards these players who've done all this work. That's even worse than what Square Enix themselves does on Final Fantasy XIV, and I'm sorry, but I can't allow these people to do this. Okay, these are players who put in time, work, and effort into their server, bringing its success, and many of them have been wronged, and more victims will just follow suit. Nobody should have to go through what I did, and how I felt. Nobody at all should have to go through that. What they did to me was wrong. What they did to many other players is wrong. And they need to be punished for it. yes, granted, a few of the people in the group has given me the real life locations as well as routines of Apuk and Violet. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything with that because it's pointless. There's absolutely no reason to go to them in the real world and physically punish them, because all that will serve to do is have them lash out and find more victims to abuse their ill-gotten power on. Okay, that is the kind of mindset of Apuk and Violet. They find joy in harming people because they can. And people like that should not be hosting or GMing for a large population private server. But yeah, so that's the whole story. That's what's happened. Again, I will work with these individuals whenever I have time to spare. For now, though, I'm just trying to recover. I'm trying to work out, even though I still feel weakened from what I had to go through. Again, I just got back out of the hospital today. But I've been trying to work out while I was at the hospital because I can't just sit there and do nothing. So, thankfully I had my PlayStation 5 and my gaming laptop with me. But even though I was on IV drips, I was still doing sit-ups in the hospital bed. At the very least, 100 each day. And I plan to work out more often, likely. While I was playing Final Fantasy XI EverQuest, I was working out maybe an hour a day. I'm probably going to do 2 hours a day again, like I did before. Maybe longer. But right now, yes, I'm trying to focus on my recovery, and then I'm going to see what happens with this group. But Violet and Apuk, they need to be punished. And if it takes having to shut down the entire server to do that, then so be it. But what they did was wrong, and we can't let them get away with it. Again, I'm not going to drag my community or anybody into this. Okay, this is something that I'm going to handle with that group. But I just want you guys all to know what happened to me. And that I will try to get better. It's just been difficult. Well, I will see you guys on the next video. It's going to be a question around video. I plan to probably do it this weekend. I'll try to make a few more videos of that. If you have any questions, just go ahead and DM me. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.